Welcome back to another review, this time for the anime Ruri Rocks, which had 13 episodes and was airing in summer of 2025. Synopsis from my anime list. While shopping, high school student Ruri Tanigawa is captivated by a crystal necklace. Due to its high price, she can only dream of owning one, until her mother tells her about a mountainous area where Ruri's grandfather used to discover numerous minerals. As she makes her way to the location in the hope of finding materials to make her own accessories, Ruri meets Nagi Arato, a graduate student who gladly shows her the way. Soon, Ruri is left smitten when they arrive at an enormous quartz formation. More motivated than ever, she convinces Nagi to teach her more about mineralogy. With each new discovery and Nagi's lessons deepening her love, Ruri learns that there's more to minerals than just their price. As you would have guessed, this show is about rocks. Specifically minerals, but generally what people would consider rocks. And it is surprisingly good. It is really good. I enjoyed the show a lot. I generally enjoy shows that are able to impart knowledge onto the viewer, especially knowledge that is somewhat important to modern times. I just like learning stuff, and this show has taught me a lot. Now, most of the information is going to be in the back of my brain and probably never going to be useful. However, I appreciate having that information for the small case that it may come in handy. Now we have Ruri, which is the blonde girl, and Nagi, which is the long-haired, black-haired, long-haired girl, whatever, this one. And together they go more or less on adventures, and Ruri gets to experience and get taught all about minerals, rocks, all around those themes. We get to know what minerals are in the world, how they form, how we get them, how we can gather them, why can we even get to them, because some of them, like sapphires, diamonds, they form under the crust, they are not really accessible, but through natural phenomenon, we are able to gather those. We get to find out what you can use them for, how we can identify them. A lot of information around these topics. A lot. As an example, as you see here, we do some gold panning. We just have our little pan, put it into the water, put some sand in, or shovels of rivers, sand, mud, whatever you want to call it, and we pan for gold, for real gold. We get to know why can you even pan for gold? Why is the gold in water? We get to know all this. We get to know some tips and tricks to find bigger deposits. Under what circumstances? We get to know why you can even use a pan to separate the gold from the sand. A lot of this knowledge, and this is just the beginning. One of the big parts is that in one of these excursions, Ruri finds some blue splinters, and we find out those are sapphire splinters. Naturally, she likes all stuff beautiful, and she likes treasure hunting, so she's on more or less a research trip to find where these sapphires come from. We get to know all about that. How you can, first off, how to identify that it's a sapphire, then how you can find out where it is coming from. It was in a river because of the panning. So you go up the river, and naturally the river they are at was two rivers before that then combined into that big river. So you take samples from each side. She took 10 on each side, and then you check if they have sapphire splinters. And if one side has them and the other does not, you go up the side that has them in. And you go up the river, you just continue doing these sample sizes until you don't find any more sapphires. Then you know it has to be around here somewhere. It is very methodical. We see her doing like a little research booklet. And it is one of the bigger story lines we follow. And it is very interesting. We find out more information about other stuff. About like the one example, the microscope they use is a specific microscope that has like a specific filter, so you get the different compounds are reflected differently. They are more or less have color under the microscope, which is was very interesting. A different one was that what I found very intriguing. They had a crystal radio, and I was like, okay, cool. Old-timey radio you maybe got like in a little magazine, you know, the old magazines where you got like a little bit of stuff to build alongside that, I assumed. Turns out crystal radios, very interesting. They work without a battery, which I was like, how? How do you work without energy? Because the radio waves have the energy and you can just use that energy to use the radio, which is fascinating. Whoever thought about that is, I don't know. I never thought about that. I don't know why, but I never did. Naturally, you can't use normal equipment to listen to those radio waves because it's not enough power. You need to amplify that somehow normally. But the crystal radio can do this without, which very interesting. Then I was just looking up, my bank card has like a chip on it, which I can use to pay with. And I was like, is that using the same idea? And it does. It does use the same idea, which is fascinating because I'm just holding up the chip to the scanner and it's like, yep, I got the information. And I'm like, oh, that is how it works. Just interesting. Again, that is what I like, getting that information which I can transfer into modern times. We also find out more about the minerals, as example sapphires, that, you know, sapphire I assumed was always the blue one. However, it's seemingly not true. It's like a sapphire, different colors, yellow sapphire, blue sapphire, theoretically red sapphire, but those are called rubies, seemingly. It is just a very interesting show. And it has good animation, which also very nice. I'm going to show you some examples later. It has good art style. It is very beautifully done. I should have... whenever there's a mineral in focus, they spend a lot of time to showcase those, which is very nice. Gonna probably get another example of that for later. I like the characters. We have Ruri, the more or less main character, she was only interested in like beautiful minerals, maybe in the price of the minerals, treasure hunting, essentially. However, with the series going on, she slowly but surely opens up to the world. She's interested where it comes from, how these minerals form, and how we get to these minerals, even what natural phenomenon has to happen. And she's even willing to go further, what you can do with those, etc. She's opening up to that field of mineralogy, whatever it's called. And it is very nice to see her grow. We also have Nagi. I like her, best girl. She's It is a little bit hard because we have two college students. I forget the other name. Yoko Imari. He's always called Imari. And those two, they feel different. Imari feels a lot more book smart. She has a lot of different information around minerals a lot. And Nagi feels a little bit different. Nagi's the one that seems to be a lot more responsible. He seems to be the one that leads all the excursions, at least most of the time, while Imari is just coming along. And Nagi seems to be very smart in that field. She knows a lot about them. She's more or less the teacher of the group, at least for the beginning. Later on, we get introduced to Shoko Seto, which is the red-haired girl. She likes rocks. She liked rocks as a child. Now, she had parents that were not as supportive. However, that is a disservice to say. It is not like other parents. The parents were not like, oh, you don't need to do that. It was just a bad coincidence that she overheard her parents talk about her obsession with rocks and that they are not sure if that could pay if you go in a job in that field, which is a valid concern. However, sadly, she overheard it and then more or less hit her appreciation for rocks. Luckily, she's able to come, into this group and then enjoy gathering rocks, and it's very nice to see. I really like their chemistry. It was very natural. It was very nice. A lot of stuff behind, not very in focus. You don't need to say, oh, look how good friends we are. We are so buddy. No, this is sometimes in the background. You see them interact with one another, while in the foreground you have like the big part that is in focus right now. It is very well done. I really enjoyed my time. Let's see the couple scenes I picked out. There we go. First example for the minerals. Second example for some animation. And just because it's my video. Someone definitely cared a lot about that specific scene. Not me. As I said, really like the show. A lot of stuff you learn. I love the characters. Nagi specifically. It is surprising. I do understand it is made by Bind, and people were like, oh, but Mujiku Tensei. I'm happy they did this. This was such a good show. Ratings wise, Anilist has it at 79%. My anime list at 8.02. I mean, the votes speak for themselves. It's already a recommendation from all the other people. I was on the verge, but I would say 9 out of 10. It is a really well done show. I would have not expected to like a show about minerals, but it teaches you a lot of stuff around minerals and fields around the mineral field themselves. I like the characters. The animation is fantastic. It is beautifully done. Whenever you see any of the minerals or the rocks being shown, they are so nicely animated and showcased. It is so well done. This is one of the better shows this season, definitely.